This meeting is being recorded.
All right, so just to recap, Martin made a motion to pass the April minutes with a second by Lena and unanimously. May minutes, any edits, additions, corrections, etc.? No? Who wants to make that motion? Make a motion.
I move to approve the minutes.
All right, George first. You want to take second, Hank?
Sure.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. New member applications. I asked Tracy the other day, she said she hadn't seen anybody, so we're looking for another person from the town. So if anybody knows anybody, they gotta be a town resident too, because Doug's the non-resident. I'll see about maybe getting the posting that went in the Gulf Journal and attaching them to the kiosks. Maybe that might help somebody that's out in the park. So we'll move on from that one right to rail trail updates. Whoever wants to jump in.
Hank, have we gotten anywhere with that tree?
Oh yeah, I did get out and take a close look at it. It's definitely on prison property. And it's a small tree, you know, it could be cut easily by one person with a chain, well, two people with a chainsaw, a swamper and a sawyer. But I thought did I send a note out? I thought after I toured it, I thought I sent you and George a note. Did you guys get that? No?
I think I just saw that you were going to reach out.
Oh yeah, I must have not. I thought I sent a follow on. So when I looked at the tree, I realized it's well on to prison property, and the prison is currently, it's, you know, people are using it here and there, but it's not officially open to the public. So we definitely would need to, you know, coordinate with the prison to cut it out, but I'm almost tempted to just leave it in place, because I also noted, you know, now the trail is complete right to the prison property, and it's really up to the Department of Corrections, but they don't have any signs or anything indicating that you can't walk on the trail. So it kind of, like a lot of things, it sort of opened up a couple of issues for me when I saw it. So I'm thinking maybe the thing to do is, certainly Terry's pretty well connected. Supervisor Hauk is pretty well connected with folks at the prison. Just maybe run this situation through him and to the prison and see what they want to do about it. I honestly, that now that trail is built, if they don't mind people walking on it before it's opened, you know, maybe the thing to do is just kind of say nothing. I don't really know. I'm a little, I guess I'm just reporting back to this group and looking for some input.
I mean, I think we should reach out to the prison because people do use that trail.
Yeah.
So.
Is this the tree I mentioned, Grace? Or is it another tree?
What?
Is this the tree I mentioned to you or another one?
Yeah, it's the same tree, unless there's two trees down, but I believe it's the same one.
Yeah, so it's from Institution Road towards Bennett House, right, where Christian lives?
Yeah, it's just north of Christian's house. Like basically, it's just onto the prison property, just off of.
I know the ones, that's the one I mentioned to Grace instead of jumping. Well, why would we say that part of the trail isn't open? I'm not understanding that.
Yeah.
So the tree is down on Department of Corrections property. At least that's what's down now when I went and looked at it a week or so ago. And the Department of Corrections section of the rail trail is, it's, you know, not really open to the public because the town still hasn't completed the work on the easement. Yeah.
Is there anything that we can do on that topic? With the
you know, it's you know, just to categorize what happened there, a lot of political capital was spent by way of the county, and Docs granted the town an easement to, you know, install and maintain a rail trail there, and the town, you know, Tony and his guys went like full guns for 2 years, and they got it to about 80% complete, and then just sort of stopped working on it. There's just a little bit. There's a short stretch that needs to be done, and some signs need to be installed and a crosswalk painted, and then potentially the prison could approve its use to the public. The problem is that the project, it's like, I don't know, what is it? Somebody help me out here. I'm going to say they've been working on it for 7-8 years.
Yes, I've been on this board.
Yeah, so you're saying
Yeah.
the part not finished is over by the graveyard or, and that over.
Yeah, exactly. It's at the other end of the trail,
Is this,
By,
are we talking about just a paperwork kind of? Are we talking about something physical that they need to do or paperwork or?
the paperwork's all done. That was a process, which was getting an easement
Okay. so
from
that's
department.
here.
That's done. There's just some work to be done on the ground. And, I've come to realize over the past few years that I don't think the highway department's going to be able to achieve it. Because they don't seem to be able to get it done.
Well, it does
there
sound
money-
like something that we should maybe bring to the full town board,
Agreed.
like just a little bit of. Like, I just wonder if the full board is even aware of that,
Right.
especially with new members of the board who.
Yeah, it's a good point. Maybe getting together and doing just an overall view of all the different projects on the rail trail for the town board at this point would be a good thing to do.
And was
Because,
there money earmarked to complete? I'm just wondering if there was funds earmarked to complete that project.
So the county gave the town a matching grant out of the Ellenville Million, and I think was this a while ago. I'm going to say they gave it was 60 grand or something reimbursable, and the town they did a bunch of work and they reimbursed about half of it, but then they stopped working on it, and the $30,000 just got reallocated to something else. So the grant just kind of ended without us tapping it.
Okay.
Yeah, they bought the fence, right? I mean, that was probably the part.
Yeah, and they got some reimbursement for stone because Tony and his crew, they did a lot of work from Institution Road along the old canal past the railroad station down to the Bennett House. So they bought the fencing, and I'm not sure I have those dollar numbers right, but they bought the fencing and they bought a lot of stone basically with the money, and then the highway department kind of in kind put in the work of trucking the stone and shaping it and doing the drainage and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because bicycles go up and down there, that's one.
People definitely use it. I see people walking to Walmart on it sometimes. And maybe the prison doesn't mind that people are using it because they haven't posted it or fenced it or anything like that.
I might be seeing someone tonight who used to work in facilities at the prison, so I'll ask him. Maybe I can get contact for someone at the prison. I can just talk to them directly versus going through Terry.
Maybe he's pretty. I think he's pretty good for dealing with the prison. He was a higher level worker there, and he knows a lot of the folks.
Yeah, I think we should leave it to the people in charge, Grace, because that's the way to get it done, I think.
I mean, we're the Parks Department though, right? I feel like we should be the ones in charge. If it's just contacting the prison about the rail trail, I don't know why we'd have to go through someone else.
The only reason is that working for a state agency myself, that particular state agency it's really, really, they're focused. They're just really different. They're really focused on security, and how can I put this? They really like people that they know.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
that's the
I'll
best-
email Terry then. I'll just email Terry and see if he can help us out.
But the ask
Yeah.
is, like, what exactly is the ask here? Just that someone maintain, I mean, there's a down tree that we want to fix. There's also high grasses, I noticed. I don't know if they've been,
Yeah, the grass needs to be cut along there. Yep.
but the ask is there's like two asks, it sounds like. There's one, a sort of short-term ask for the prison of just the tree situation. But am I understanding right, that there's also an ask or a nudge for the town that I guess I'm still clear of like what the town exactly, what's the 20% that wasn't done? Is it like trail maintenance or surfacing or clearing or?
It's installation of trail. There's some
Okay.
more there's some fencing that has to be put in around wellheads.
Okay.
And there's signage that we've already purchased that needs to be installed,
Oh,
the
we
easement.
have it already. Okay.
The signage, the work, the trail installation work is not insubstantial. And I think the town has to make a decision. Well, they've had to make the decision for a while. If the highway department crew can't do it, we have to find funding to hire a contractor to do it, I think.
It does seem like the kind of topic that maybe could use a fresh discussion at the town board meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yes.
Okay, so I could ask for it to be on the next workshop agenda. And just kind of present what we talked about here and ask the town, what their plans or capacity is and, how we can get this to the finish line.
thank you.
I like that plan.
One other question I have on that section, Hank, you may know. The split rails are breaking, there might be a dozen or more at this point. So who do we feel is gonna be the responsible for that? Is that the town to replace?
I would imagine, I know that there's a bunch of split rail fence that's already been purchased. I'm not sure the status of that split rail. The last time I saw it, it's in the area where the town has constructed is in the process of constructing the new highway barn. But I assume that they just moved it to another location.
So is that continue to split rail on the other side of the institutional road then? Or, was there extra?
There's on where the work needs to be completed, there's some split rail and then some around the wellhead, some like hurricane fencing or whatever that has to be put up more secure around the wellheads. But yeah, some of that split rail was to be allocated for construction that hasn't happened yet. But it could certainly be used to repair broken broken sections of rail.
Usually it's either weak rail or tree fell across it.
Yeah, that's happens with that stuff all the time.
All right, anything else on the rail trail?
Just one thing, I want to make sure everybody saw that OSI has canceled or postponed tomorrow's opening at Rochester Town Hall there. And it's been rescheduled to a date in July. Let me see if I can find that. Did folks receive Annie's?
I saw the cancellation, but not the rescheduled date.
It's in the cancellation. Oh, no, it's not. You're right. That's why I'm not recalling the date. They just say they're going to do it after July 4th.
Okay.
And any discussion about some sort of ceremony for our section here?
Well, they're doing it's really this is to kind of celebrate both sections. And the reason they chose Rochester Town Hall is because it has parking and somewhat of a bathroom facility. It has substantial amount of parking.
And it's not a water treatment plant?
Yeah, well, a sewer plant, you mean?
A sewer plant, I think.
Down the connectors.
All right. I mean, there's no surprise to me why they don't want to do a ribbon cutting in our section.
Yeah.
I guess one other thing that I wanted to ask, I've been walking both new sections, both of the ARPA funded sections, the Rochester section and the Ellenville-Warsing section. And it's really clear that we're getting way more, motor vehicle use on our section than they are on the Rochester section. And there's enough of it on our section where it's starting to get degraded in spots.
Yeah,
And I noted that Rochester, if you've ever been on the Rochester section, when you walk on it, the first thing you see is a yellow sign, which is a municipal law that they passed in 1990, which forbids motor vehicle use on the rail trail. And I had a conversation with Mike Baden, who's now I guess he's the planner for the village of New Paltz now. But he's still involved with trails. And he said that was pretty successful. He said they've never prosecuted anybody. They just, passed the law, which has a $250 fine, and they just posted the signs at entrances to the rail trail. And he said he thinks it really started keeping some of the, the motorized vehicles off the rail trail. And I know for sure if the village and the town were to pass municipal laws like this, it would make the people who did a lot of work for us and invested the county money, the Open Space Institute, feel good about our stewardship. So I just wanted to see if this group thinks that's something we should pursue.
I definitely
I
think.
love it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We also need to get those blocker things back up. I know there are a million ways to get on that rail trail, but I think it will help deter people if there are things that block.
Bollards, the bollards.
I
Yeah.
hate
They're
was
down.
there movement on getting the metal ones.
Okay. Yeah, because there's nothing there right now, and it's just kind of like a free open path. I did see when I was on the rail trail last week, there's a camera up on the far end, like on towards Kerhonkson. There's a trail.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
who
don't know.
that is. Is that the owner of the house's trail
Tried
cam, or is it?
yeah.
Possibly. Yeah. I'm not sure who put that camera up.
Okay, maybe we should have one conversation then with the town and talk about both this signage and that issue along with the prison section of the rail trail.
Mhm.
Good idea.
$250 fine, right?
That's what they have in Rochester. I'll take a picture of the sign because it contains all the wording of the municipal law. So it
Okay,
would be something that the town and village's attorney could, take a look at.
okay.
We want to pass a motion in support of that kind of law, a resolution, I mean.
I mean,
I possibly it makes sense to start the conversation and have the town and village attorneys look it over, see what it's like to pass this. But I guess it can't hurt to. I think it's a good idea. So yeah, we can pass a resolution, right?
Yeah.
So.
I'll do a motion. I guess the wording is a motion to,
Resolution.
a resolution to recommend that the town and village adopt
Municipal laws.
municipal laws, prohibiting motor vehicle use on the rail trail.
yeah, I second
It's
that.
it's probably unauthorized motor vehicle use.
Yeah,
All right, Sam made, that was Martin, second.
I'll second it.
But Martin already
Beat you
got
to
it.
it, Hank.
Excellent.
All right, any other further discussion on the resolution? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Unanimous. All right, so Elena, this is the village section, the Cloud Harbor, the connector.
yes, our ongoing resuscitation. I think, we talked about it last year sometime. The concern that the budget difference between 24 years ago, when we got approved for the grant, and today's costs is enormous. I think now the village manager and the village are sort of looking into that question. We have about a $750,000 difference, which is shocking. So I don't know, Elliot, if you have more of an update than I do.
So, you know what, the village is in sticker shock, no question about it. The village portion, is gonna be in excess of $500,000, which is, of course, totally unanticipated. That's the bad news. The good news is there have been some conversation as to how to address the gap, both with the DOT and with Cloud Harbor and with a couple of other outside interests. I would say I'm not too concerned about it right now. I think that we have some sources for additional money to supplant the new cost. I think what the biggest challenge right now is getting this restarted. I mean, there's still a couple of, from what I understand, talking to the engineer, there's still a right-of-way question on one of the pieces of property.
Yeah.
But I believe that, that should be easily addressed. I just don't think they know where to look. And just start moving this along, give them the green light to move this along. So that's where we're at.
So do they need?
Is that federal, I know one of the things that was hanging it up is the federal funders were holding back some of the allocation or something, right?
They wanted to claw back all the money, you know, and I can't blame them, quite honestly. You look at this, this project has a beard that's 20 years long on it. I mean, you know, it's arduous. So the feds, the feds right now, we're looking at preliminary engineering costs, which shot up. The federal aid went down in comparison. So these are gaps that we're trying to fill. But when we look at the village's share, after everything is said and done, you know, we're totally in shock of the $500,000 number. So,
We have known it for about 2 years. I mean,
well,
but, I mean, you haven't, but
somebody's been sleeping for the last 2 years. I mean, but that being said,
Aware of it.
that being said, I'm looking forward to not looking backwards, and I see some opportunities to fill that gap. The mayor's been very conscious about trying to find additional money. And I feel good about that between the tip and some of the monies that we believe can come our way. I think we can get this going. And most importantly, and Hank, I'm sure you appreciate this as well, is the importance of that connection between Smiley Road and the trail. And I think that there's a lot of people not just rooting for it, but that will stick their hand in their pocket, so to speak, and help make it happen. So I'm very optimistic.
I think you're the getting additional federal funding through Brian Slack's outfit on the tip is a really good, that's a really good conversation to start with the Transportation Council, especially with all the impetus that's happening with rail trails here. I think that's a good route to go.
And we've started that conversation already. We had a meeting. So I'm like I said, I'm feeling good about it. I just want to make it happen.
Elliot, is the right of way the school property or is that, because I get conflicting things that school property would take care of, that it's not in there.
I can't tell you if the school property is taken care of or not, but I don't think we'll have a problem with it. The right of way right now is a piece of property that is purportedly owned by the village, but somebody can't seem to find out exactly who owns it. It's one of those mysteries. And, you know, the engineers have to have the I's dotted and the T's crossed, so we're addressing that right now.
Thank you.
I had a quick question on the site map. If you look at the map that you sent me, it looks like the project ends with a significant gap between the project trail and the actual O&W trail entrance.
Yeah, the concept in that is that that's where it goes across the back of the ball field, right?
Right.
Yeah, the engineering, the design concept there is to just let people wander across and not have it be, not mark it in the field or develop it in the field. So it is, it's not the best program idea I've ever seen,
No.
So,
but
you know,
it would work. You just
Like-
kind of wander across the field, you'd have to have some signage or something, but.
to not have it there, so that we can-
It's in between the two fields, or no, anyway, this right of way, this isn't the one where they were wondering if it was purchased with federal funds. Is that issue finally?
Yeah, that hasn't come up.
Okay.
I'll send you an update, I'll touch base back with Cloud Harbor to see where they are, and I'll send you an update, and let you know what's going on.
All right, that's pretty much it. Thank you. And is that one, how about, Burn Road Park project?
So, late breaking news as of 8:15 this morning. So we're gonna the village is gonna backpedal on releasing the bid package on Monday. And toss it over to the town who's gonna release the bid package today. So it's gonna get on so in other words, by putting the town in front of it, we can get it on the agenda for tonight's meeting. I believe it's already on the agenda. The town will be the quote recipient of the bids. They'll go over them with, of course, the village and Bernier and Larios, and then award the bids as they see fit.
Nice.
So
Thanks for getting the
Yeah, great job.
the site plans out this morning of the courts. I did want to comment. I was taking a look at those, and I note that the way I thought they were going to overlay the two pickleball courts, like one on each tennis court, and it looks like the concept is to kind of put them on the back of one court, and I don't think that's a good way to do it at all, because the two pickleball courts are going to have, one side of them is going to have absolutely no backcourt where you actually play. And there's no way to set up a net or anything with that. And what I've seen done, which I think is way more successful, if you can just imagine those pickleball courts laid over on one on each tennis court, kind of in the middle of them, then you can use the existing tennis net, and you will have enough room to, if you lay it out like that, whoever gets stuck in those backcourts is going to be slamming into the fence and stuff.
Hank,
I don't know if there's time to change that if you're just getting ready to go to bid, but I'm just seeing them 8:45 this morning.
Hank, the thing that I would like strongly push back on with that is that the primary use of the courts still needs to be tennis. Like, there's no public tennis courts within 30-minute drive of Ellenville, 25-minute drive. And if we took if we painted the lines on both tennis courts, I think that would be a real disservice to the primary use case. Like, I just think
Well, if you do it the way I'm saying, it just becomes, you're right. You could get pickleball players coming when people want to play tennis, but it's like a first come, first served situation. Another thing you could do is just put one pickleball court over one of the tennis courts.
I have played on courts with this layout. It's definitely not ideal, but I think you still can play. I mean, in this way, we get two courts and we still preserve one primary tennis court without the overlay of lines, which is like we are degrading the experience of the primary sport, because the lines, I don't know if you've played tennis when there's a pickleball court drawn on, but it's.
Yeah, I've played both tennis and pickleball on courts like that.
It's not ideal. I mean, from my point of view, for like long term, I would hope that we look for opportunities to actually establish, if we see that pickleball is getting a lot of use, I would love to establish dedicated pickleball courts somewhere else in the village and convert these back to full-time primary tennis courts. Like, I think the conflict is tricky. And setting it up on both courts with the use of the net just feels like we're gonna remove the primary use. When there's no, there's pickleball courts at Littman, but there's no other tennis courts anywhere in the area that are public.
Are there tennis courts at Littman?
No,
Oh,
No, just.
Oh, so we have no tennis courts at all.
No,
Okay, all right.
They have their own.
They have their
private
own, but
line
they're
school,
not-
it's locked.
they're not open to the public.
What, the ones at the school?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, this is going out to bid the way
And it's-
it's run up here.
right. I mean, I do think we're out of time to
Right.
change the.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
It's just,
removing that's not gonna change the bid, if anything, that'll help us. So I feel like we could still release it and then make a minor change like that later, right?
yeah, the problem with putting it to bid that way is there's no way to play pickleball on those things because there's no nets.
But I think that's pretty standard that people bring their own nets to play pickleball. Like, that's how all of the courts
Nah,
in
not,
the
No,
city.
I don't,
Where I see it, they have them there on wheels and you just move them.
yeah, I mean, they're usually provided, and somebody brought that up at a few meetings ago, expressing concerns about having portable ones at Berm Road Park, that there could be vandalism or theft.
They're definitely not good.
That's an issue down the road. We gotta find money for that.
I do think it's common, there's both versions, though. I mean, it's quite common for people to bring their own nets and equipment. I see that in almost every court I've seen or gone to, yeah. I mean, the newer fancier townships where they're just dedicated pickleballs, I've seen nets, but when it's mixed use, I've seen that people bring their own. Cause isn't the net slightly different height?
Yeah.
Than a tennis court?
Yeah, what you do is you have to install, the net has to be raisable and lowerable for the two different games.
I see.
It's a specific type of post, which is also different than the post is spec. We're really late to make any recommendations here, and I fully appreciate that. But it would have been great to have a chance to review these plans a few weeks earlier, or as they were developed.
In there, we reviewed them for like a year, and then pickleball came in the last 3 weeks of the process.
Right.
I mean, Littman Park is still there. So. And I've gone by and there's been nobody when I've gone by.
Yes,
At the
I think
pickleball
one
courts.
full pickleball court and then one full tennis.
I think that would be
better choice.
that would be a shame though.
So,
Then you have one public tennis court in a 30-mile radius.
I get it.
And 5 pickleball court, it just seems, what are we doing this for?
I get it, but I mean, if it comes to the point that we have to compromise, we might as well give one full one, so to get the full experience, then have 2 not giving the full experience. If we are compromising.
Yeah, but honestly,
Why are we compromising? The whole original question of it.
It's like, if we're gonna stick with tennis, I mean, I totally agree with you, because Linden Park already has,
And I think we should, here's the other thing, I think we should bring pickleball to the village, but I see empty derelict courts at the golf course, which is supposed to be a public park and not a golf course, and it's like, I would rather do dedicated pickleball somewhere where we could build a nice experience, rather than have a crummy experience with pickleball and degrade the primary sport of tennis on those courts. And then we've spent $400,000 on something that's gonna suck, It's like, what?
I agree with Elena on that.
yeah, honestly, I mean, that's one thing you could do easily with a bid packet is just remove the pickleball. Probably it's not too difficult. But I also fully appreciate that this is really late in the game to be making a recommendation. It also seems like there's some love for pickleball that is happening somewhere along the way in this process. But just as a fairly avid pickleball player, those courts are not going to be good to play on, I can tell you. The backcourt's really important.
But when you say I don't know who inserted the love for pickleball, because as Elena said, it was not part of what we were.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Wasn't me. I've said at the beginning that I think we're good with pickleball because we have 3 courts in Lippman. And you can almost always get court time there. I've never had to wait. I just go and play. So I think we have plenty of pickleball in our suite of parks.
All right, I think we've exhausted that conversation. So,
Sure.
next up, the survey status, nothing to add, right?
Yeah, nothing. I gotta get everything together. It's just been, I'll put it to myself. I'll get it done before the next meeting. I'll get an RFP together for the committee to review, and then we'll get it shipped out. We can send it to the same surveyors that I got quotes from if the town, but I think we just got to get the town interested and on board before you like even fully going through that process. Because the efforts were basically wasted last time. So
Yeah, I would ask the town board if they're even going to budget for it, because obviously it won't be done this year.
Can I answer survey for that?
Littman Park, there's like 4 or 5 parcels, they don't know where the lines are,
Okay.
they had the bike path in somebody else's property, so they just want to know. And then they were gonna try and do it 2 different parcels instead of 4 or 5, whatever it is.
Okay.
Let's move on to the dog park, because I know that's gonna take more than a couple minutes.
Well, I just think that with the dog park, we visited 2 sites. We visited the Bob Mangles Botanic Garden, that full municipal area. And the group, I mean, thank you to everyone also who came to the site visits. That was great. We got a nice turnout. And so we were looking at the Bob Mangles site, you know, that full park is an 8 acre or 7 to 8 acre lot of all zone municipal park. And so we were looking at the encouragement of the local business owner in that neighborhood and homeowner, looking at the area to the left of the current municipal park. And I think, Elliot, this might be a question that I'm hoping you can help with. Mike Jetter has a contact, we think, but I would really love to get in touch with somebody who can help us from the DEC with the pile of rocks to understand if they should be there, if they shouldn't be there.
And maybe the Army Corps of Engineering, but yeah, we'll find out.
If we could just have a person who's willing to come and look, or even do a FaceTime kind of meeting. I think that's our next question, is to talk to somebody who manages the usage for that kind of property flood control. Our understanding was that building fencing would be no problem from the flood control point of view. And we could even build, you know, little benches or shade structures, but that potentially we might not be able to plant any trees. But these are the questions that we need, kind of like a Army Corps of Engineers or DEC, like some kind of professional to tell us what's possible. And I just don't know who it. I mean, maybe we have contacts who did that project, that dredging project, and it seemed like Mike might have someone.
I'll try and find out for myself.
That would be awesome. If you could put me in touch. I think the next steps on that site are just to answer some of those questions before we go back to the town board. So that we understand if it's really viable.
To clarify, Elena was looking at the dog park outside the actual botanical garden.
Yeah,
fenced
so
area.
if you're
So to the
standing,
left of it.
right, if you're standing looking at the entrance of Bob Mangles, we're talking about the site to the area to the left, directly to the left. So we could potentially still use some of that, about 100 feet of that fencing on that perimeter and build it off of there. Mike Jetter joined us for the site visit, and it didn't seem like, aside from this rocks question, there don't seem to be any other structural or drainage issues that would prevent us from doing that. It's a really nice big space, that's currently, you know, used for a rock pile. So it would be really, I think the thing that's exciting about that space is it would complement the existing botanic garden, without taking use away from it. And that we could also eventually highlight the walkable paths that people take on the berm. And make that kind of part of the experience, that if you want, you know, you have your off-leash dog experience, but then also with or without a leash dog, you have a walkable experience down to the creek, and like the whole space just, to me, is a space people use a lot currently, but could be even, you know, elevated more, and maybe over time, we find funding to enhance it. So that was that site, so some questions to answer there before we go back to the town board. Then we visited the area by the airport, along that road, and we tried to sort of figure out what part of that site Terry was referring to in terms of potentially having a park there. You know, there's options there. It's as George and Mike put it, it's a much bigger project. It's more complex and more expensive. Because that project would require us to clear out a space. We would need to clear from the brush and the woods that are over there. There was like one area of wetland, and it's unclear how wet that whole swath of forested brush area is. So that would be a question to answer, because there is a little creek back there, and you know, if it's wetland, you don't want a mud pit dog park. So
I
there's.
think, I think I believe that when we were looking at that, you know how there's kind of a drain that splits and goes under the road with the culvert.
Yeah.
The concept was to put the dog park north of that drainage area, and you know, to kind of keep it in the grassy area and then clear out some of the woods, so you had a dog park that had some trees and some grassy area.
Yeah, and it would, you know, it would be nice. I think the challenge would be more of a project complexity challenge, like time and money.
Mhm.
And, you know, based on budget in terms of fencing and the size of the park, since you're not getting any fencing for free like we would with the other site, you know, you have some added cost there. But I think, you know, from a like, could you put a dog park there question, the answer was definitely, seems like it would be yes, if there was energy at the town to do it. You know, the group was disappointed, like having it be so far back there, pretty hard to discover, would be a challenge. And the fact that there is no walkable or bikeable option from the village.
Right.
I think that also is a deal breaker. So I took that, since that site is getting more attention, I took that topic to the Coalition of Forward Facing Ellenville, who's in their name, have a focus on Ellenville, and probably will not support the project at that site with as much fundraising. So I think in the end, it'll be a question for the town, like if that's something they would want to completely fund and execute. You know,
If they haven't up to now.
there's no reason not to necessarily. I think we have kind of like, in terms of the best use case for the community, I think if we can make the Bob Mangles, if we can answer these questions about the rocks, then we might be adding a lot of value there that currently, you know, is pretty underutilized. So that's kind of the status right now. I think we just still need to gather more information and also probably do more outreach. I don't want to like do a ton of outreach in the Bob Mangles area until we get the answer about the rocks. Because if it's like an impossible thing, then, you know, we might have to go back to the drawing board or give up on that site completely. I don't know.
Why do you have to do more outreach? You've been doing a great job talking to people already.
Well, I haven't talked to that many homeowners, and I've heard from folks that they think that will be like a sticking point, that if the town is less enthused about that site, that if we actually do have a coalition of residents who are actively supportive of it, that would also support the idea. So,
Okay.
But I don't really wanna do it until we can know, like, is it actually physically feasible, so.
The other question I brought up just now, Melina, do we know who owns that park where the rock pile is?
Yes, the town.
It's
That
on,
is technically still the town?
Yeah.
it's on the town, but there's an easement there, I think, for flood control.
Okay. All right.
And there's flood control land just to the west of it. So there's no private property abutting the site.
Yeah, it kind of comes up where Woodward Street is at.
And your concept is to use like one of the fences that exists from Mangles and like build off of it to the left?
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be pretty, that saves a lot of money.
yeah,
You can have a pretty big dog area, up park area too.
yeah, and the idea is like, you want it to be as large as it possibly can, you know? So
Yeah, and
that,
you got views there that rival the golf course views too. It's really awesome. Actually,
Yeah.
the airport has nice views too, that now that I think about it.
I think this being walkable for people in the village is a real asset.
Mhm.
Having to drive, like having everyone having to drive to a dog park, I think is definitely less desirable.
There's a few people that could probably walk down if it was at the airport that are right there on River Road and
Oh, yeah.
maybe out of Napa. Probably it's closer.
yeah,
Then you have to cross 209 and. then-
Yeah, I got.
crossing 209 as a pedestrian is not something we wanna encourage.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. Grace, you want to talk about community garden?
Yeah, I have to also jump off for another meeting in a few minutes. I need to follow up with Noelle again. There's a woman named Noelle Fries who wants to put in a community garden in the village. She ideally wants it walkable. Some sites that she's thrown out, potentially Berm Road Park. That's not ideal though, since it's a little bit out of the way. I guess there used to be a community garden, or there's a town or a village owned property next to Sook House. I think that's her number one spot, and then potentially that other park that's off of Center Street.
Hill Street.
The Beale Street Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's, she just wanted to find out if we would like help her in this effort as a commission. You know, all the fundraising would be done on her end. So I don't know if that's something that we would be interested in doing or getting involved in.
Who was the religious gentleman? He was a pastor, I think, English pastor who got a community gardening program going in Ellenville 10 years back or so. I think he passed away. Do
Yeah,
you recall?
Yeah, he passed away.
Jack.
Where was it located?
It was,
He had the farmer's
yeah,
market.
it was the farmer's market, and across the way next to Sook House, there was the community
Yeah.
garden.
Elliot, how does the village feel about that? They talked about it.
So, yeah, we've talked about, we thought the Mill Street Park would be an ideal location. It's in a neighborhood that, there are a couple of churches around, and one of the churches actually had tried a community garden, several years ago, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So I spoke to one of the members there and asked them if they would, consider, helping out, and they were very, very supportive of it. And the Mill Street Park right now is sitting there just unused. So I think the mayor and the board are inclined to support that.
Yeah, in the past, some people have gone down there, hang out or have groups go in and have picnics in there. I have seen that. Go ahead, Sarah.
I know the hospital has like a program that like they do gardening, and they have reached out to see if possibly through camp that the all older kids at Maratanza Village would volunteer to do so. I actually ran to the lady last night, and we're going to get in contact today. So Grace, if that's okay, I can CC you on that email, so then hopefully we can get something going on this summer with the teams of the community.
Yeah, that would be great, and I'll loop in Noelle. Okay, I have to jump off. I have a meeting for work. So bye, guys.
That would be awesome.
Bye.
All right, old business overlooked. Thanks for being here. Whoops, hold on. The only one, Elliot, is will we ever have anybody from the village help with taking minutes and produce them or no?
I could try and see if we can get that going.
Well, Michelle has already indicated that she did it originally and she's not inclined to do it again. So I don't know, without Michelle, I don't know who else would do it.
Terry was pretty firm on the no.
Yeah,
So the town's done it for the last couple of years, so.
let's see if I can foster that.
Just one of the topics that continues to come up. Any new business anyone wants? to bring up?
Yes, I'd like to bring up something. Something that won't take any time for this meeting, but Hank, as you have mentioned in the past, and because you and I have been dealing with Lippman Park for 15 years, I think it's time to light the fire under the rear ends of this town to move forward with dealing with those bathrooms that they got there and resurfacing the tennis and basketball courts and making them with the sport court finish so that those pickleball courts get used like they should be. Because I'm there all the time and I ask the pickleballers that show up what the big issue is, and the asphalt is horrible, it's uneven, as you know. It's got dips and so on, you can trip easily, the surface sucks. And they're reluctant to use the facility. And the basketball courts are degraded somewhat too, and that whole area should be just dug up and resurfaced completely. And the
Yeah.
of course,
That's-
there's no reason there should be a porta potty at that park when they have bathrooms that should have been fixed properly years ago or replaced.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's I think one thing I do like is seeing this job that's going to go to bid. The court surfacing diagram lays out exactly what needs to be done with the basketball and pickleball courts at Littman. So it's there's a good model there. They don't have to, get additional engineering done. I think they could just jump right off of that. And yeah, the whole bathroom facility there is that's a really big project. But I think the thing to do is tear down the pavilion closest to the bathroom and the bathroom, build a larger pavilion that has like a catering kitchen and a bathroom facility in the end of it. But I'm laying out $1 million project.
Wait, Nelsari has an update.
So last year, while the recreation department was doing the Easter egg hunt, the bathrooms were being worked on. So they're fully workable now, like the bathrooms are full. The problem is that while we don't have rangers
Staffing, right?
parking correct, the bathrooms are kept locked, so that's why the porta potties are there. So when there's rangers, everything is open because when it was being left open, they get vandalized.
Yeah, that's
They're
the
all- Yeah.
Recommended Parks and Recreation Department.
the county is working through this exactly right now with their rail trail. They want to move towards having nicer bathroom facilities and away from porta potties. But there's the huge leap is what Nassari just laid out. When you have bathrooms that are open to the public, you have to have somebody there that cleans them 2-3 times a day on the weekends, at least once a day on weekdays. So there's really there's a staffing issue with upgrading the bathrooms, but definitely not with the courts. The courts, you don't need staff for that.
I think there needs to be a whole big discussion with the town. There's so many multiple issues now we talked about in this meeting involving the town.
Well, I was just really pleased to hear Nassari talk about a recreation department, because that's what the town needs, and if the youth commission is moving towards a recreation department, that's really the direction we need to go, I think.
And that would include rail trails and recreation department, because we talked about the town doing the easements on stuff.
I think everything comes down to is this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everything comes down to it, so it's like,
But every year, money never gets spent,
We get spent.
and every nickel should be spent in that recreation.
I
department.
agree, so starting last year, right? I was not So I was able to go back to previous budgets and I'm able to see that whatever was given last year, I called the COVID money. It was not even enough to cover anything, so they allowed me to use whatever I needed to use, but with a leach. It's kind of like, do you really need to do that? No, not really. Okay, so pretty much, so this year, the budget that was fought for, it was pretty much like, I need to be able to pay staff fairly. If I want young people to take care of our little ones, they need to get paid fairly. So it wasn't a big increase the money that I got, but I'm still doing things with a leach. Let's be honest. So can we provide services with the amount of money that we have? Absolutely. Can we show that we are able to use the trails? Absolutely. Can we show that we can use all this stuff? And then I'm understanding that if I can show to the board, I have usage of these items, I need more money, it's justified. But me just saying, I need money for this, but it's not happening, they don't give me the green light for nothing. So I need to be able to do stuff technically without funding, to be able to say, this is what I need it for. If that makes sense. Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of the way that, in my way, things kind of work. Have been able to work, it seems, but again, I'm new, so any suggestion that you guys may have in a way that I can like expand or anything like that, I'm more than happy to.
Hank, do you, or somebody here, when's the new budget for the town go, November or something like that, or?
That's
They start in like September.
They start in late September?
September and October.
They do the workshops, right?
Yeah. They start pretty early, yeah.
That's what Lena had said, we're using the workshops.
Well, I do think it would make sense for maybe Doug, if you wanna help represent the commission and go to those workshops and,
Because I'm not afraid to kick the dog.
yeah, I
I'm
think,
really not.
I think that would be great. I don't think,
I know
I
Hank's
don't
more
wanna hear from me anymore.
tactful than I am, but I'm.
I've never been described as tactful, actually.
Good. They just need some constant nudging, and I'll be happy to do more of it come later in the summer. I'm just gonna be busy until then.
Anything else new?
Yeah,
Martin?
so I've been contacted by the new youth director for NAACP, looking to do another golf outing.
Nice.
So successful last time, so Paul Krebs hard to get a hold of. After this meeting, I'm going right up to the golf course to see if I can get him to get some dates. And then we'll see how it goes.
That's great.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Anything else?
I motion to adjourn.
Doug's motion, a
Second.
second. Martin, was that?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's unanimous. We'll see you July 18th.
We'll get that song.
Okay.
I'll see you.
Really been dead.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask him.
I didn't put
I believe.
that.
Okay.